our relationship series, Love, Lust, and Lost. We are going to take this entire winter season and talk about relationships, love, what lust looks like, the loss, the lies, all of it, y'all. I am Lady Wake. Welcome back. Lady Wake is my name and has a meaning of awakening ladies to ourselves, for the purpose of healing and transmutation. And so, what we're doing, what I do, and what I love to do is to transmute trauma into power. And in talking about relationships, relationships affect everybody. Everybody has a relationship or some type of relationship. Even family counts. All right, y'all. So we're talking about all relationships, but diving into relationships really will allow us to look at ourselves and see how we love, see how we receive love, really see what we need and what we're working so hard for out here. And maybe if we're lucky, we can see some blockages that are holding us back from having, receiving, and giving the type of love we really prefer to. Okay. So every Tuesday night, 9 p.m., we'll be right here exploring. So let's jump in though. Let's get started. Because last week I told you guys that this whole conversation is really the backdrop for us taking a look at ourselves and going, what are my needs just as a human being? And how can I, through my relationships, get my needs met while at the same time meeting my partner's needs, meeting my children's needs, my parents, my siblings, whatever the case. We're having those discussions here. Now, I told you also that this is a lot of research. The background is a lot of research. So let's start here because I think it is extremely important for us to have a clear stream of consciousness as we embark on this conversation. So the first thing I thought about was eating habits. And Deepak Chopra says, there are a bunch of sick people fighting with sick people and nobody's listening. It's like, no wonder nobody's listening. And I take that to heart because really what happens is if you are hungry, if you are malnourished, if you're not getting all that you need from your diet, or you're getting too much of something, not enough of another thing, then usually you're kind of agitated. I know y'all know the expression hangry because I look, I work hard to make sure I don't get hangry. I eat often, small meals, snacks. Like I'm very serious about my food because when I'm satiated, when I'm full, or not even just full, but satisfied, I'm a nicer person. I don't know about you, but I'm nicer. I'm more patient. I have, all the space to give. I don't know. I think I give more chances even. I think I do. Yeah. I don't get irritated very quickly unless I'm hungry. When I'm hungry, I'm not a fun person to be around. And I think that goes for a lot of people. And it's so funny when you say that because really that's something you can control. You can decide to not let that affect you. But the reality is our biology, and I know y'all, look, I'm always back here talking about our biology and how it works for us and sometimes against us, depending on what we're really trying to do. So, but when you're hungry or when you have high blood pressure or lower blood pressure or sugar levels, I should say, because when you get really, really hungry, you don't eat for a long time or you don't eat the right things, your blood sugar will get low. And then your body will kick into gear and really overwork to balance you out again. And in doing that, it takes you back to your primitive self. So you're more aggressive and it increases your stress hormones so that you can get yourself back balanced. And that aggression comes out. And so then you see couples fighting with each other. And I really have to say again, that message reigns so true. Sick people fighting with sick people just get irritable and, mean and gaslighting and just start fighting with each other, fighting with your children, fighting with your parents, fighting with your friends, because we are not putting the proper things in our body to keep us, to help us stay grounded, to help us be more patient, help us be more loving. Okay. That's my PSA, really. Let's say that is my PSA to begin. We have to help our bodies serve us. Our body serves us mentally, emotionally. Our body serves us, and the fuel we give it, the food we take in, gives us that service. Up or down, good or bad, back or forth, like balance is everything. Okay. So I talk scientific stuff and people go, yeah, whatever, until somebody can't get it up. There's always a case. And I've had literally hundreds of conversations with people about their mate not being able to have an erection or sustain an erection, the man or the woman not being able to perform, no moisture, no interest, not being able to orgasm. And there are a lot of things that go into it. And of course, it's person dependent. But most of the time, at least 80% of the time, a change in a person's diet will dictate in their energy, in their attitude, in their body, and cause the body to respond better, faster. Y'all, is not a joke. And those of you who know me know that I've been in the medical field for years. And listen, people would ignore me when I told them about, cholesterol and blood pressure stuff and diabetes. And it kind of goes, yeah, we know all that stuff. But when we start talking about sex, everybody's ears opened up. Like they were all, full attention. What? It can cause what? People will not take their cholesterol medicine if they think it'll cause them to not be able to have sex. I'm just saying. It's very important. So, as we embark on these conversations, I want to be clear that diet is an important starting place. It's an important starting place for all, just to have this conversation, just to be clear of mind, to have an open heart, okay? Diet is important. So let's start there. Okay? And then, hey, Mike, I'm gonna move forward because once we are open enough to have this conversation, it can go so many ways. And another part of our biology comes into play. So we need to recognize, okay, the biology determines how we present in relationships. So genes are passed down, and we've talked about this multiple times in different contexts, but genes are passed down, are passed down, are passed down, are passed down. So some of us have genes that have us show up like the caretaker in a relationship. Some of us have genes that have us show up in a selfish way in a relationship. Some of us show up as the never ending child. We never grow up. Like we have different ways of showing up in relationships based on our childhood, based on our genes from our parents' childhood and their parents and their parents. Because remember, our trauma is passed down to our children for generations, but also our survival skills, the things that support us, are passed down to our children for generations. So we got it all. We have it all. But once we get here and we have this as children, and say you grow up in a two-parent household and then your parents get divorced. Now that's traumatic for a child. It happens all the time, right? It's really traumatic for a child. And so now the child grows up and there is a fear in the back of their mind that nothing lasts forever, right? Because their parents didn't last. Or maybe you didn't have a father at all. Or maybe you didn't have a mother at all. And a search for love. Everybody has the same basic human needs. And we're all out here searching, right? That's what we have to talk about. Because we're searching for love in all the wrong places. But since we're born with these specific needs, we have to at least recognize that, okay? So what are we recognizing today? We're recognizing that our biology plays a role, okay? Eating better, drinking water, getting rest is a big deal. It's a big deal in how you show up in your relationships, and it will help you. And this is a conversation, y'all. So talk to me, okay? Talk back to me. And our genealogy, how we grew up, our biology in terms of the trauma we've experienced, the survival skills that we have, the things that we know will work for us. Those things are in our genes, it's in our bodies, and it comes out as we have experiences that match up. So if you have a traumatic experience and your body says, ooh, I remember this from 1905, let me kick in these skills and back up and not deal with this person, okay? Or clamp up and not be able to have an orgasm because I can't even relax enough. I can't open up, okay? These things are real and they're not cognitive decisions. They're not things that you can just think about because we make decisions from our frontal cortex. So if you just think about something logically and you go, well, I know A plus B equals C, it doesn't, right? It really doesn't. But I know 1 plus 2 equals 3. So I won't do. But when you're in the situation, when you're having the experience, your body is a map of its own. Your body has its own remembrance. Your body has literally hundreds of years of remembrance in your genes, probably thousands, in your genes, in your blood, okay? Literally. So that's our foundation. So we're here. We're here. Okay, we're here, okay, foundationally. So everything that we talk about going forward, you have to ask yourself, hey, is this something that I really want to experience? Or is this something I'm experiencing because my forefathers experienced it, or because there's some trauma in my family line? Is this the result? Is this me responding to trauma? Or is this just who I am? Okay. Let's go. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, y'all. Okay. So I wanted to start off with what was important to you all. So I asked you all to send in questions or comments, things you wanted me to cover. And sex came up a lot, as it often does. That's no surprise. Sex came up. But I didn't want to start with sex today because there's so many other foundational things we need to build before we have sex. Okay, so maybe that's the area of sex we can start this conversation around, because people will jump right into sex and literally not even know a person. Now, that's not really a bad thing. I'm not judging anybody. This literally is a judge-free zone. However, comma, if you are looking for something substantial, and this is a response to questions I've received. If you're looking for something substantial, you're looking for a full relationship, sometimes that's not the best thing to do. Everybody has different ideas and opinions on that. And frankly, I think that's really a shallow way of going, and looking to it is like, that's neither here nor there, because that's not as important as people make it out to be, unless you're not having it, right? unless you're in a relationship and you're not having it. So I say get in the relationship first. Figure out if you like the person, date somebody, date the person, figure out if you really like them as a person, and then you can tackle the sex thing, because sex is so much better when you like somebody. Even better when you love somebody. At the very beginning, lust. And a little lust can take you a long way sometimes. Now, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying. Those of you who asked that specific question, I say chill out for a minute. Just chill out. Chill out for a minute. See where it takes you. What? Who looking for some sex? What is going on over here? What happened? Was definitely looking for some sex. Okay. It's okay. It's a relationship series. I knew it would come up, and it has come up multiple times for day one. So it's cool. It's cool. We're going to go there. We're definitely going to go there. But sex looks so different for different people. And the truth is, if you have not gotten in touch with your trauma, with the way you love, with the way you receive love, your sex will be whack. That's what I should title this. You're probably having whack sex if you haven't dealt with your trauma. It will be whack, because what you accept will be less than what you deserve, or you'll be taking so much and not giving anything in return. Either extreme, because trauma takes us there, right? It takes us to either extreme. So listen, we want to know what kind of lover you have become. That's what you want to know. Look, I don't really care unless you mind, but that's what you want to find out for yourself. What kind of lover are you? What did you experience growing up that contributes to who you are right now? Okay. What did you learn? How did you learn to love? Was it through, you watching a loving exchange between your family members, your parents, your siblings? Were you taking care of each other, or were you fighting all the time? I'm fighting with her sisters, or were they, loving each other? Were they taking care of each other? Were they looking out for each other? Were they talking behind each other's back? Like, you have to look at the things that you've experienced, because everybody's experience is different, and really decide what you learned as a child that contributes to who you are now as a lover. And a lover is not just in a romantic sense, but a lover of all sorts. How do you love your partner, of course, but how do you love your friends? How do you love your siblings? How do you love your parents? How do you love on strangers even? How do you love your children? Because a lot of times we love our children the way we think, we should have been loved, instead of the way they need to be loved. So what kind of lover are you? You need to figure that out first. That's number one. Yeah, I'm giving y'all homework. I am. You gave me homework. Come on. You asked me questions. This is my response. Figure out what kind of lover you are. What do you need? What have you seen? And how does that contribute to what you need? And then from there, you can determine how you match up in a relationship, what kind of partner you're looking for. You can determine if you can risk having sex on the first date. Like, these are the kind of questions I got. You can determine these things. Okay, you said just kidding, then you said facts. I don't know. Y'all in here looking for sex? What is going on? What is happening? Okay, y'all. So, when you determine what kind of lover you are and how you got there, like, why are you this type of person? What did I see? What did I experience? Once you determine that, then you can create a vision for yourself. Now, people don't talk about vision so much in relationships unless you're like getting married or are married and you're trying to fix some stuff. This is for everybody. Like, people always give an enormous amount of credence to that romantic relationship and amounts of energy and credence to other family relationships. And that is one of the things that have us off balance. We are off balance in terms of how we love, because people are focused on only sexual love. And passion is great. That's amazing. Sexual love is something that we should all share if that's what we want. But we have other things, other people in our lives to love. We have other ways that we love. And that is as important as your romantic relationship. Let me tell you something. I counsel women all the time, and couples sometimes too, but mostly women. And the one thing that I find way too often for my comfort is that a woman will look to her person, her, to be so many things to her. And the man or woman, the partner, will be overwhelmed, frustrated. I don't know how to be her lover and her friend and her counselor and, you know, her shopping buddy and all of these thousand things, her protector and her comforter and her cook and the kid's father or mom. Like, there's so much that we need as people. We cannot rely on one person or one type of relationship to fulfill those things. That's why you have your sisters. That's why you have friends. That's why you have children. That's why you have parents. That's why you have spiritual teachers, pastors, literal psychologists, whatever your thing is. You have different relationships with different people to fulfill all of those roles in your life. We're multidimensional people. We're not just flesh focused on pleasing flesh. Nothing wrong with it. In fact, it can help boost our relationships, but we got to get in the relationship first, okay? But when we get in the relationship, we cannot count on that one person to be our everything. We have to have some space for ourselves. We have to have some space for our loved ones, our family members. We have to be able to love a friend on that level. The next thing, not next really, but the thing that I prefer to expound on, and maybe more next week, is around our children and how we give our children that what we call agape love, right? We give them that full self-sacrificing, all in love. Well, you all know there are exceptions to every rule. Mostly parents will give their children everything and not expect much in return at first. Usually later down the road, there are a lot of expectations that show up. But in the beginning, it's like you give your baby thing and the baby returns love. How? They're happy, they smile at you, you may get hugs and kisses, right? And that is enough. That is everything. Knowing that you are making that little person happy is everything and enough. And the way they return it, because they can't communicate, I love you. They can't, do specific things for you that an adult could do. Even little kids who are like, so they don't communicate in the same way. I love you. But parents will do everything that little 7-year-old likes, right? They like certain restaurants. You'll take that child to that restaurant. You'll take that child to see that movie for the 5th time. You will sit and play games that you hate playing. Like you're probably exhausted and brain dead by the end of the day, but you've done everything that makes your kid happy just because it makes them happy. And that feeds you. But for some reason, we get into relationships with adults, and I mean all kind of relationships, our friendships, our sisterhoods, our brotherhoods, our romantic relationships, all of these different relationships. We get into relationships with adults and we treat them so different. Where is the agape love in adult relationships? How can we start to translate what we have for our children that agape love that, and it doesn't even have to be self-sacrificing, because it's not a sacrifice if when you see that little child's face, it lights up your world. You spend half your paycheck on their Christmas gifts. Like, I mean, Christmas is a different, thing for different people, but really it's not that serious. Except when you see that kid's face on Christmas morning and it lights up your whole body, mind, spirit, and you're like, oh my God, this is why I work so hard. Look at this smile. This is why I do what I do. How can we translate that into our adult relationships and be prepared, be open, be willing to give that type of love to our partners, to our friends, to our sisters, to our brothers, to our moms and dads? How do we translate that? Because really, we're all big kids. We're either little kids, somewhere in between, or big kids. That's it. We're all children. And everything about us comes from who we were as a child, or who we are as a child into adulthood. Everything. So just like we give to those kids when they are kids, when we give to adults on that same level, the love comes back naturally. There's no fight. It's not about, checking the box or taking score. You did this and I did this and blah, blah, blah. Like, you shouldn't even hang with friends who do that. Like, people, you can't go out and have a cup of coffee without somebody going, I bought coffee last time. What kind of broke mess? No, you don't hang with people like that. So you shouldn't treat your partner like that. There should not be a tit for tat type of situation in any relationship that you have. Because in real life, if you have to do all that, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship with that person. You probably shouldn't be close with that person. You probably shouldn't talk to them much or hang out with them. That's not the kind of love that will keep a relationship rolling. That's not the kind of love that'll keep you all happy, both of you or all of you. That's not the kind of love that will be sustainable. It's just not sustainable. So that's where I'm coming from. And we're going to get to more sex. Don't worry. We're going to get to more sex. But I really want us to look at the breakdown of who we are in love, how we love, how we became these specific types of lovers that we are. Okay. And then we're going to talk about cheating, of course. That was also asked. Somebody asked about that. So we're going to talk about cheating and why people cheat. And we're really going to dig deep into, again, who we are as individual lovers, like how we became the people that we are, and how our childhood and our genes and our mindset takes us into these relationships where we feel overwhelmed, or we feel not good enough, and we feel, just exacerbated by the smallest things. And we make mistakes, or maybe not really mistakes, but we cheat on each other. We lie to each other. We deceive each other. We do all these painful things that really, make it hard to bounce back, make it really, really hard to maintain a healthy relationship. That's why the divorce rate is out of control, mostly due to people being unfaithful. It just is. That's why relationships don't last. It's either that or finances, or a combination, usually a combination thereof, because let's face it. Like, if things are going well in your relationship, and you are still connected on a passionate level, then you're more likely to work other things out and figure it out. So we're going to go through all these things, and I'm super excited to do that with you all. But keep sending in your questions and thoughts and ideas, because really, this one, cheating. somebody's excited about cheating. I'm going to cover it all. And we are here from December through February. So every week, we're going to have this conversation around how we love, around how we get caught up in lust, and how that, benefits us or doesn't benefit us, and how loss affects us and then affects our relationships going forward. All kind of relationships, y'all. And I will take a week out to carve out different relationships with our parents, with our siblings, because I think sibling relationships are hugely important. You probably met my brother Leo, because it's my brother, like hugely important. Relationships with our friends, especially like girlfriends. So we got so much work to do, y'all. Women, we have work to do. We're doing better and better, but we have work to do, more and more work to do. Relationships with our partners, of course, and ourselves, because we can't forget ourselves. This is all about us. Remember, the purpose of this entire conversation is that you see you, okay? I see me. You see you, and see who you are as a lover, what your needs are, and if you're getting your needs met through your relationships. Because if you're not, this is the place to hash that out and to learn how to do so, okay? So next Tuesday, y'all, we are back here. Let's see, 9 p.m. Central, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, talking about relationships. So join me on Facebook or on YouTube. Okay. Until then, y'all, keep sending in those questions and we'll get to it. Peace and love.